Hello there, my YouTube friends and fans. Welcome to Grounded. I've been playing this game now for roughly 25 hours, and ironically, I never thought I'm gonna play this game that much. I actually originally thought this was a kids game and I wasn't interested in it, but when it became available on Xbox Game Pass for free, I was like, hey, it doesn't hurt to try it out, right? So I jumped in and it was still early access and I got immediately killed by a spider. I didn't know what I was doing and I was like, no, I don't feel like that right now. I moved on to other games. And then I kind of ran out of things to play again, and I thought, okay, I'm going to give it another shot. And I spent a lot more time looking at this game, and of course, I died, and I died, and I died over and over and over and over. And honestly, I find this game way more difficult than, for example, Elden Ring, which a lot of people think is like the hardest game that's out right now. So, yeah, I mean, I got really frustrated because the weapons that you have are literally useless at the beginning. You can't really kill anything with it besides like the tiniest bugs. And the tiniest bugs actually manage to kill you if you're not fast enough. And then the other thing that I found very frustrating is that you have to eat and drink regularly because it's a survival game, and I love survival games, and I don't usually have a problem finding water and food. But in this game, when you're new, you literally sometimes can't find water anywhere. You see like some kind of water drop high up that you can't reach. You don't know how to get to it, and if you chop down that grass, the water drop disappears into the ground. And then you stand there all thirsty. And a lot of times I felt like I'm playing like a game in the desert because, yeah, there's just no water sometimes. It depends on where you are. So once you find a location where there is a lot of water droplets, you quickly learn that it's probably a wise idea to kind of stay in that location, kind of build your base there. And speaking of bases, building a base is really not necessary in this game. It's more like a fun thing if you just want to have something to do. But you do need a place where you can store your stuff and where you sleep and where you have your workbench. But it doesn't have to be an actual building. It can just be a place that's safe. And the place that I found, the first place that I found really safe is right underneath the oak tree, between two branches underneath a big leaf. That to me was the first base, and I'm still using this base regularly because it still works. I built like a wall, after I've had a couple spiders come into my base, I built a little grass wall there, and then after that I had no more problems. And the cool thing about this base is I didn't have to worry about getting a lot of material, finding out how to build a base. I could focus on actually doing quests and just exploring the world instead of, focusing on building stuff. And I know some people love doing that. They could just spend hours just building a base. And I've done that in other games too. But in other games, a lot of times a base is super necessary. In this game, really, it isn't. You can build your base in any corner or niche or underneath a leaf. And you don't have to actually worry so much because I have my base literally right next to the wolf spider nest. I walk by the entrance to that nest every single day coming out of my base. And that wolf spider has only bothered me like once when I was a little bit adventurous at night and I walked around a little bit too much in front of that wolf spider nest. And eventually that wolf spider came out and actually attacked me. But I haven't really had any problems since. I just learned to respect my neighbor and my neighbor leaves me alone. And actually this first base that I made actually turned out to be a super good place, one of the best places, because every morning I wake up, I have a big old water drop hanging right above my head. And I have little weeds growing in there, and the best of all, I have acorns respawning there every single day. And the field station is literally right outside, so I can go and analyze stuff when I find new stuff. And then I have this garden lamp right above my base, which provides a nice light source for my base. And at night, I go up there to grab as many gnats as I want to or can before I go to bed. That's what I usually do. And on my way out, when I jump over the leaves, I always have another water drop on one of those leaves, guaranteed every morning or every day. I have another water source right there on my way out from my base. Really good. So all that, and I have all the plants that I need around it. I literally have everything there. So that's why I said you don't actually need to build an extra base. But I did it anyway because I just wanted to see how it is. I have literally a redundant base right up here on this tree trunk. It's literally just the same as I have by the oak tree, and it's not far away from the oak tree. I literally just did that as a test, and it's another place where I can store stuff. But again, this is a redundant base. I literally don't need it. And the other reason why I find bases kind of redundant in this game is because you spend a lot of time traveling and exploring, and you may not be at one place for longer than maybe one night. And then in between you're far away from this one place that you were. So you have to kind of build a lean-to, which is this little tent that's going to be where you sleep. And that's where you can set that as your next spawn point, basically. So when you die, you don't get sent back all the way to that first place where you were, but you can start over from maybe like just a few minutes ago where you were, and then you don't lose so much time. So I found that very, very helpful. So I have those like little tents all over the place. And that brings up another point. What I really noticed is while I already feel like that the HUD is super cluttered, I mean, there's so much stuff, and yeah, a lot of this stuff you kind of need. I feel like it would be very, very nice if we could just turn off the HUD once in a while to kind of really enjoy the game. It's already awesome that the game is in first person, which makes it super immersive, but having those icons everywhere when you gotta just kind of look at the leaves and the box, and then you see so many icons that are super distracting. It would be really, really nice. I've had this in another game where you basically could like filter the icons. You could say, show me only this one icon like of the quest that I need to go to, or show me all icons, or show me like certain icons. And that would be really amazing if they could do that. And I don't want to have a photo mode, because photo modes are always kind of weird, where it kind of puts you in a freeze stand, and then all it really does is you can kind of take a picture, but a lot of times it's not really the way you want it or the angle you want it. What I rather would love to have is like a turn off HUD, because then you can also make a video with absolutely no clutter that just shows the nature and the beauty of the game, and then you can take screenshots from that. But what I'm mostly looking for is literally just immersion, and I did some search on the web because I thought maybe there is a trick to turn the HUD off. There is probably a way to do it on the computer, on the PC or Mac, but there is not a way to do it on the Xbox, because a lot of people ask for that. And hopefully the devs will hear that or listen to that and actually consider that. I cannot imagine that should be super hard to implement. But if they did a photo mode, which is okay too, I personally don't need it, but I think it would have to be a better photo mode, like something like, Ubisoft does with all their games, where you can literally like zoom in from any angle and you can have yourself in there or yourself not in there and stuff like that, because otherwise the photo modes are pretty much kind of like just gimmicky but not very useful. And so my biggest issue at the beginning of this game, or I can even say for the first 15 hours of this game, was literally just how the heck do I even survive? Because every time you die, you lose your backpack. And then when you're like at the beginning, you don't really know your way around or how to defend yourself or know much about the game. You just die before you even can retrieve that other backpack. And you end up having like 4 or 5 different lost backpacks in all kinds of different corners of the world. And you can maybe retrieve one, but every time you die, you also lose your armor, you lose everything, and you basically have to start from scratch. So I find that really frustrating. I think this game would be way more fun if you could actually hold on to your, or anything that you have on your hotbar. Let's say that. It's kind of like, you know, how they do it in 7 Days to Die, where you can choose or you lose everything, or you lose only the stuff in your backpack, or you lose nothing at all. I think that should be a setting that is just kind of more like tied maybe to the difficult level. But I think it would make the game more fun because you could focus more on exploring the world instead of stressing about always going to find your backpack and not dying, and then stressing about the water and food situation and not really ever have time to explore. It took me literally 20 hours before I learned that I can actually walk on top of the leaves. You know, being a big human being, I don't ever expect that I can step on a grass or on a leaf and not literally squish it. So in this game, you're so tiny that you're light enough that a grass leaf can actually hold your weight, or a clover leaf can hold your weight. So you can step onto them or use them as jump from point to point in order not to get down to the ground. And another thing that I learned is like that, you know, the spiders don't usually follow you up to high points. So if you are running into a spider or a spider ambushes you, which happens like all the time, you can actually just kind of quickly find a high point and usually get away. That's something that I did not know at the beginning. So I was literally just trying to outrun a spider or a stink bug, and you just can't do that. And then there's the mosquitoes. Those I haven't found any way to do anything about them. But just the other night, I had this spider attack me when I tried to get a specific thing, and the spider just didn't let me go there. So I was chased by the spider all the way up to my base here on this tree trunk. And I was like, okay, well, the fight is on. Let's try and see if I can do this. But man, it took me so many arrows. I think it took me at least 20 arrows to kill that spider. And the only reason I was able to do this with not more than 20 is because the spider was stuck on something and I could easily just target it. Otherwise, they are moving super fast and it's kind of hard to get them. But that was my first spider that I killed, and I didn't even get much for it. I think I got a little bit of a spider web from that spider and nothing else. So that wasn't even worth wasting 20 arrows on and all the time that I did. But just imagine having to do this like out in the field when you're trying to defend yourself. You don't have time to waste 20 arrows. You're long dead before that. That's kind of what I mean by there should be a faster way to kill bugs that are on to killing you, even at the beginning of the game. They just have you know, find the materials and then craft it, but you can't even unlock that until you're like higher ranked and you have better materials and you actually have money to buy upgrades. So that's where I feel the game could be better. But the most fun bugs in the game really are the ladybugs, because they are gentle creatures. They don't do anything to you. I think the developers put them in there for us to use as taxi or buses. That's what I do. I ride on top of them to kind of just explore the world from above. And that's actually really, really fun. I could never kill a ladybug, and I hope I never have to. So I'm only 25 hours in, and I know that I barely scratched the surface. There's so much to do and so much to see and so much to learn. So this game can definitely take you, you know, not just weeks, maybe months to complete. And I love that. I love long games, and I definitely would highly recommend this game to anyone who loves survival games. And even though this game might look like a children's game, it really isn't, because I think this game would be way too hard for any child. It would probably love watching you play it, but for them to play it themselves, it could be super frustrating. It's definitely an adult game. But, you know, you never know. There's some really smart kids out there. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Leave some comments if you want. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.